Every religion claims truth. But Scripture gives us a way to test truth, not by emotion, not by sincerity, not by influence, but by prophecy. God says, "If what a prophet proclaims does not take place or come true, that message was not from the Lord." Deuteronomy 18:22. That standard doesn't belong to Christianity, it belongs to God. Islam claims Muhammad was a prophet of God. Christianity claims Jesus was not only a prophet, but the fulfillment of prophecy. Today we won't mock, we won't speculate, and we won't lower the standard for either side. We will test both claims using their own sources and let the evidence speak. A brief clarification. This video is not saying all Muslims believe the same things, all hadith carry equal weight, or that every claim in Islam stands or falls together. We are examining the most commonly cited prophetic claims Muslims themselves appeal to. We will quote the Bible, quote the Quran, and reference classical hadith where relevant. If a claim is disputed, we'll say so. If it's ambiguous, we'll acknowledge it. This is not an attack. It's a test, the same test Scripture demands. Biblical prophecy is not vague prediction. God stakes his identity on knowing the future. Tell us what is to come, that we may know that you are God. Isaiah 41-23. Prophecy must be clear, future-oriented, and verifiable. With that standard in place, we turn first to Jesus. Jesus repeatedly predicted his rejection, death, and resurrection. The Son of Man must suffer many things, be killed, and on the third day be raised. Matthew 16:21. If the resurrection failed, Christianity collapses. That is not safe prophecy. That is falsifiable prophecy. Jesus predicted the destruction of Jerusalem and its temple. Not one stone here will be left on another. Matthew 24:2. Within one generation, in AD 70, Rome destroyed the city. Jewish historian Josephus records the devastation in detail. Jesus made an extraordinary claim. This gospel will be preached in the whole world. Matthew 24:14. No army, no state power, no wealth, only persecution. 2,000 years later, his words endure. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Luke 21:33. Muslims do not claim Muhammad fulfilled many prophecies. They point to a few specific ones and return to them again and again. So we'll focus only on those. The most frequently cited prophecy in Islam concerns Rome and Persia. The Quran says, "The Romans have been defeated, but within 3 to 9 years they will prevail." Surah Ar-Rum 30:2-4. Muslims argue this was fulfilled during the Byzantine recovery against Persia. Critics point out that fulfillment depends heavily on which event counts as the victory and initial counteroffensive, a turning point, or the final peace settlement. In other words, the prophecy's force depends on how flexibly it is read. Biblical prophecy does not rely on disputed endpoints. It stands or falls on clear fulfillment. Another commonly cited prophecy concerns Muhammad's entry into Mecca. The Quran says, "You will surely enter the sacred mosque, God willing, in safety." Surah Al-Fath 48:27. When the first attempt failed, a treaty forced the Muslimin to return without entering. Early Islamic sources record that some companions were confused and distressed by this. The entry does occur later. The question is not whether Mecca was eventually entered, but whether a prophecy that requires delay and reinterpretation meets the biblical test for prophecy. Islamic tradition also records Muhammad describing the hour as near. "I and the last hour have been sent like this." And he joined his forefinger and middle finger. Sahih Muslim 29:51. Muslim scholars commonly explain this as meaning, there will be no prophet between Muhammad and the hour, and that the end is near, in a general sense. The question, then, is not interpretation, but category. Is this a measurable prophecy or a general eschatological warning? Biblical prophecy places weight on specificity, not symbolic proximity. At this point, a pattern emerges. These claims are not meaningless, but they are not precise in the way Scripture defines prophecy. That difference matters. Two claimants, same test. Jesus predicts his death and rises. Predicts Jerusalem's fall, fulfilled. Predicts global impact, ongoing. Muhammad, prophecies tied to immediate events. Fulfillment disputed or revised. Eschatological expectations unmet. God does not change his standards. Throughout history, many have claimed to speak for God. Scripture does not ask us to admire them. It asks us to test them. Jesus did not avoid that test. He staked everything on it. He predicted his own death and resurrection, and then invited the world to examine the evidence. That invitation still stands. Test everything. Hold on to what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. If you're ready to learn, grow, and speak truth in love, join us, subscribe now. The conversation starts here.